She was one of the most powerful women in history, a queen praised for stability, strength, and a golden age. But power does not come without a cost. Behind the painted portraits and carefully preserved legacy was a ruler shaped by fear, suspicion, and survival. Loyalty was enforced, dissent was punished, mercy was rare. This is not the story of the queen history celebrates. This is the story history buried. History remembers Elizabeth I as one of England's greatest monarchs, the Virgin Queen, the ruler who brought stability, culture, and strength to a fractured nation. But history is selective. Behind the polished image and the legend of a golden age was another Elizabeth, one forged by danger, hardened by loss, and trained to rule through control rather than affection. Elizabeth Tudor was born into uncertainty in 1533. From her first breath, her existence was political. Her mother, Anne Boleyn, was executed when Elizabeth was only 2 years old, accused of treason and adultery. Overnight, Elizabeth was declared illegitimate and stripped of her royal status. She grew up knowing that a crown could be taken as easily as a life. Her father, Henry VIII, married 6 times. 2 of his wives were executed. Others died or were cast aside. Elizabeth learned early that power did not protect women, and that survival depended on intelligence, silence, and patience. As a child, she watched alliances form and collapse. She saw nobles rise and disappear. She understood that words could be as dangerous as weapons. By her teenage years, Elizabeth had already been suspected of treason. During the reign of her sister, Mary VI, she was imprisoned in the Tower of London, the same place her mother had waited to die. Elizabeth survived not because she was innocent, but because she was careful. She learned to hide her thoughts. She learned to wait. And she learned that fear was a language everyone understood. When Elizabeth became queen in 1558, England was deeply unstable. Religious violence had divided the nation. Catholics and Protestants distrusted one another. Foreign powers watched closely, waiting for weakness. Elizabeth's throne was not secure. She was young, she was unmarried, she was a woman. Many believed she could be removed. From the beginning, Elizabeth ruled with control rather than warmth. She surrounded herself with advisors, spies, and informants. Letters were intercepted, conversations were reported, loyalty was constantly tested. England watched itself. Religion became one of her strongest tools. Elizabeth established the Church of England as the official religion, presenting it as a middle ground between Catholic tradition and Protestant belief. In reality, it was enforced with punishment. Those who refused to attend Anglican services were fined. Repeated refusal led to imprisonment. Continued resistance could lead to execution. Catholics were treated as potential traitors. Priests were hunted. Secret worship was criminalized. Families were destroyed for practicing their faith in silence. Elizabeth rarely appeared cruel in public. She did not need to. Public executions carried the message for her. Traitors were punished openly. Heads were displayed on spikes. Bodies were broken and exposed as warnings. Fear became order. Her intelligence network expanded rapidly. Led by men like Sir Francis Walsingham, informants infiltrated homes. Servants were bribed. Letters were decoded. False conspiracies were encouraged to expose real ones. Those who spoke too freely learned the cost. No threat loomed larger than Mary, Queen of Scots. Mary was Catholic, royal, and had a legitimate claim to the English throne. She became a symbol for Elizabeth's enemies, a living alternative to the reigning queen. For years, Elizabeth kept Mary alive, imprisoned but breathing, not out of mercy but calculation. Executing a fellow queen was dangerous. It could inspire rebellion. It could damage Elizabeth's carefully crafted image. But fear always outweighs hesitation. When Mary was implicated in a plot against Elizabeth, the decision was made. Mary was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death. Elizabeth hesitated publicly. She blamed advisors, she claimed reluctance, but the execution went forward. Mary, Queen of Scots, was beheaded in 1587. The message was unmistakable. Blood would be spilled if stability demanded it. Elizabeth carefully controlled her image. Portraits showed her ageless, untouchable, almost divine. She presented herself as married to the nation itself, loyal to England alone. In truth, the image was armor. By remaining unmarried, Elizabeth avoided foreign control and internal power struggles. She used the promise of marriage as leverage, delaying decisions, manipulating alliances, and keeping rivals dependent on her favor. Her court was beautiful and dangerous. Favor could elevate a man overnight. Loss of favor could destroy him just as quickly. As her reign continued, England grew stronger. There were cultural achievements, economic growth, and military victories. The defeat of the Spanish Armada cemented her reputation as a legendary ruler. But peace came at a price. Surveillance maintained loyalty. Punishment enforced silence. Fear kept order. Elizabeth grew older, more isolated, and increasingly suspicious. Trust was never a luxury she allowed herself. By the end, she ruled alone, hardened by decades of control. When Elizabeth died in 1603, she left behind a stable kingdom and a carefully protected legacy. History chose what to remember. It remembered the Golden Age, the triumphs, the power. It forgot the blood. Elizabeth I did not rule through kindness. She ruled through calculation. She understood that power was fragile and that mercy could be mistaken for weakness. She survived a world that devoured women by becoming something harder. History crowned her a hero, but beneath the crown was a ruler who understood fear and used it well. This is not a story of good or evil. It is a story of power, and power, when threatened, rarely chooses mercy.
If you enjoyed this video and want more, please like, subscribe, and share.